just really exciting. She's representing her country, and whenever I met her related to investment in Ghana, I find her very, very enthusiastic, patriotic, loyal, and I can straightly say that this kind of hard-working women and having so much passion for the country is very rarely found. I deal with a lot of consulates, governments, and to raise investments for them, but this is really amazing. That's why she is a permanent member of my woman leader support and talk. So let's go to Her Excellency Samantha and listen that what are her views about women in leadership and women in UAE. It will be a great opportunity to listen the perspective of an African woman who is doing a dynamic job in UAE. So, Mike is with you, Samantha.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Musa, for giving me this opportunity. I want to appreciate Berkeley Middle East for all that I have done with you, in the past few years that I met with you. It has been wonderful. And thank you for the wonderful, introduction about me. I'm Samata Gifty Bukari, the Consul General of Ghana to Dubai. I started my life as a professional teacher in Ghana, back in Ghana, from a very humble and I won't say poor, but a farming family. My father was a farmer and my mother was a housewife. And a polygamous family where one man marries more than one woman, about 4 women and several children. In all, we are about 32 children from my father. And all of us needed to be educated. Thank God for free education at the time, because it was a policy by the then government to give the people from my region, the northern region, who were lacking behind, free education. So for that reason, I'm able to come this far. As a professional teacher, in fact, I taught at all levels, depending upon when I upgraded myself. I started with the basic level, and I went into the university to do my first degree. I came back to teach in the higher institution. Then I continued and went into doing my master in philosophy in development studies. All this time, I worked with rural people, again, rural communities, where you actually, from the African perspective, when we talk about rural, we mean rural. Communities that don't have electricity, don't have enough schools, don't have potable drinking water, and so forth and so on. Fortunately, we happen to have a sponsor, Danida, who came in to help these communities. And throughout my life there, what we did was that these communities were sponsored to get good drinking water, boreholes, that is deep wells. They helped them to construct schools, teachers and nurses' quarters, in order that teachers that were posted into the communities accepted to live in the communities and teach the people. Then our work was to facilitate the community groups. So we had community leaders, where by the Danida policy at the time, and even I think now, half of every group had to be half female and half representative male. So for example, we had School for Life classes where we recruited at least 13 female, 12 male, or 12 male and then 13 female. That was what we did. So from my early days as a young teacher, I have always respected gender equality and gender balance. Then we started training these women in functional skills. In fact, most of the people didn't have the opportunity to go to school, but they had local businesses such as shea butter processing, groundnut processing and rice processing locally. They do it locally. So what we did was that we formed them into groups and gave them loans. And with these loans, they were able to work to improve the quality of lives of their families. And the awareness creation that we brought into the communities was that we made them to understand that all the profits that they made should be invested into the education of the children, so that in future, their children will not suffer illiteracy as they were suffering. And true to my story, now, if I tell you the level of the School for Life students, in fact, it will interest you. Some of them were even able to go up to the university level and acquired first degrees. Many of them became teachers and some became nurses. Then we went ahead, the youth in the community. We didn't leave out the males because we always thought that whatever be the case, the right hand is always supporting the left hand, and then vice versa. So the youth, the male youth, were also trained into becoming artisans in building technology, electricals, farming, which is the main occupation of the people. That was what we gave them good quality seeds, and we supported them with money to invest into the cultivation. So all this time as a woman leader, I did a lot into improving on people's lives. And the focus of our organization was to let the people acquire the requisite knowledge and skills that could empower them in life. And the women were very, 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 very loyal. Whatever loans you gave them, they were able to pay back. And they used the monies to meaningfully into their children's education. That very much Anita appreciated. And we worked with them for several years. Even as I speak, the organization is still on, but I retired to come into diplomacy. Then, as I came as a diplomat, I've seen a lot. I've learned a lot in women leadership. There was this educationist back in Ghana, Dr. Kwejir Agui, who said, if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. But if you educate a man, you educate an individual. And to add to that, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. So education of a woman is very, 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 very important. I'm not saying only for women, but in my situation, by the African perspective, our locals, my fathers and grandfathers and parents used to think that it was right to put males in school and leave the females, because at the end of it all, the females, whatever education they acquired, they were going to marry into somebody's home and to serve the home. They didn't think that women could take up leadership roles and become leaders, become managers, become lawyers, and so forth and so on. But in my diplomatic life, just this COVID-19 pandemic that occurred, look at how the women leaders worked very, very, very creditably. Let's talk about, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Taiwan, New Zealand, Iceland. They performed creditably. Unlike, I'm not saying that all the male leaders didn't perform well. This was acknowledged by worldwide, how women leaders performed creditably. And even Africa, as a developing nation, look at what Ethiopia has been able to do, because a woman is the president of the nation. About half of their percentage of cabinet is 50%. And let's go to Rwanda. We have 64% of female in the national legislature. When I come to my own country in Ghana, currently, we have our Minister of Foreign Affairs to be a woman, the Chief of Staff to be a woman. The Chief Justice was a woman. She just retired about some few months ago, and many, many, many other leadership positions. And in the diplomatic sector, we are about 25 women diplomats and consul generals from Ghana. So even as a developing nation, we have been able to achieve this. All this because of education. So what I have for future generation of women is that education is key to the development of everything. So first of all, we need to empower our females in education, economically, politically, socially, culturally, and always try to look at culture as something that is dynamic. Because in the past, like in my culture, we used to foster female children to their aunties to go and serve them. In that sense, they will not be able to go to school. And also, we used to encourage early marriages at age 16, not even 18. They marry the child to a man. So all these cultural practices that inhibited development should have to be dynamic. We have to look at what is happening in this 21st century and go by that. Because the world is moving very fast in technology. So if you think that your females shouldn't have education, it means that the whole nation of it is going to be affected. Because even considering the population, the world population now, I just looked at Ghana's population now, we are about 31 million. 50.9% are male, while women are 49.1%. So imagine that all these 49.1% are redundant. That doesn't help a nation. So from our experiences coming from farming backgrounds, every woman given the opportunity will be able to excel. And then what we also require as women is that once you've been able to educate yourself to the highest level, because education never ends, it is a process and it continues till we die. You should build the confidence and self-esteem in order that when in your organization, when they are talking, you talk and talk well, talk meaningfully, and then you will be respected. Don't always think that you are a woman and therefore somebody is going to give you the opportunity. No, take the opportunity in your own hands. And I always challenge women that any challenge that comes your way should be something that you should be able to, develop into opportunities. You just don't sit by. You always try. When there is a failure, try again and try many times, and then you will succeed. Then you look at, always put up your competencies, your efficiencies, so that the organization set up will respect you and even miss you one day that you don't go to work. So to the fellow women, I would say that currently we are lucky. Many women are going into areas that were formerly male dominated, for example, diplomacy. But today it is not the case. I've seen women engineers, I've seen women industrialists, I've seen women, the work now is diverse. So the only thing for us to do is that you go into an area where your interest is and be focused. Be focused. Make sure that you are putting up your best. And once you are putting up your best, there is no way somebody can demean you at the workplace. So when we were young, we only saw our teachers at a very rural community. It was only our teachers that we saw as role models. Fortunately, among them, there were some few female teachers. And lucky for me again, in my community, a woman was appointed as the district chief executive of the whole community. I'm talking about 40 years ago. That's about in the 60s. And we used to look at that woman very young, we used to appreciate her. And she did a lot so those were the people who inspired me. And I talk about having good and quality education so that in future I could also be a leader somewhere. And as a consul general now, whenever I receive guests who are students, what I tell them is that it's only hard work. It's only hard work. Once you are hardworking, once you are ready to learn, you will always succeed. And you should always be able to ask as many questions as possible. In a group, in a meeting, wherever you are. Fortunately, this time we have the internet. You can go into the internet to seek knowledge, and no one protects you. But you have to be selective in the knowledge on the internet, because some of them are not very truthful. So, Dr. Musa, I want to say that Africa as a developing nation is coming up. They are engaging and adding women into decision-making, statuses. And we appreciate that. And it's all because of education. Without education, nothing meaningful can happen in your life. We are not talking of high education. Basic education is enough. High education can help. But once you know what you want in life, you'll be able to achieve it. Nothing stops you. Nothing stops you. So I always give young female coming up encouragement. Learn, and then hard work. And one day you are going to occupy very high positions in life. So thank you very much for this opportunity given me. I hope that we shall always try to contribute our quota whenever it is possible. Grateful, very grateful.
This is really amazing. And you know that before 10 years before, I used to think that Africa is a place where there is no one. And but the day I saw you, I feel Africa is full of patriotic females who are energized and who are fully charged, full of vision, full of leadership. And when they talk, they have a weight in their discussion. They have a brain which is really very effective. So you are, you can say, a sample for the women who are in Ghana and in Africa in general. So, and it's always a great honor to speak to you.